Learning a fighting game is already difficult. Combos, footsies, frame data, but these characters make things ridiculous. Tons of unblockables, crazy high damage combos, and tons of armored attacks. Today's video goes out to the Shokans, NetherRealm's ultimate scrub killers. So let's discuss what makes them so devastating in each game. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor. Not this time! No! You're just trying to shield your own merch again. Nope, but I do appreciate good clothing, which is why today's sponsor is awesome anime apparel at KaiokenClothing.com with 5% off any purchase by using code DOG. These guys deliver worldwide and offer an incredible selection of clothing to satisfy your otaku needs. Me personally, I love My Hero Academia and Dragon Ball Z, and all the designs are made in-house and there's tons of reviews as well. So make sure to satiate your love for anime and save money while doing it with Kaioken Clothing. So as always, we're starting off with Mortal Kombat 9, so of course we gotta start off with Sheeva, and let me just say, MK Rio has a fantastic video on Sheeva, and his video discusses how this character played at a high level, whereas my video is going to cover her in a more general sense. And once we're done with Sheeva, we're going to move on to the Shokans and the future titles. So to start things off, Sheeva still has the most annoying tools that everybody hates about her in Mortal Kombat 11, only here they're a bit better in a few ways. So her stomp, for example, it does a bit more damage right off the bat, 11%, and then if you amplify, not only did it do more damage, but it also had one hit of armor, so it could beat zoning, it could beat your wake-ups, all that good stuff. And of course, just like in MK11, you can also aim this thing. You hold back, it goes back, you hold forward, it goes forward, so if the opponent tries to jump away, you can read that and catch them on the way down anyway. And I might be wrong, but to me it looks like it recovers faster as well. Look how fast I can jump if I miss this thing, so you pretty much had to jump and then kick Sheeva out of the air when she went for this move. And at a high level, that's what you saw a lot of players do. They would just jump and kick Sheeva out of the air because punishing this thing on whiff was actually pretty tough. And Sheeva had more unblockables than just that. She also had her ground stomp. This thing hit full screen, of course, tracks your location, and it's 9%, so not too bad. And then if you amplify, you're getting a bit more damage, 16%, so actually almost double the damage. Not too bad for just one bar. So already these two moves alone make Sheeva a scrub killer because casuals hate unblockables. I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't like unblockables either. And last but not least, there's one more unblockable to cover, her X-ray. This thing hits full screen and it's unblockable, and it's pretty fast too. Once again, especially if you're new to this game, there's no way you're reacting to this thing and you had to jump, not just block. Now thankfully the damage wasn't too bad and comboing into it was almost impossible, but even so, at the casual level, you had access to a full screen unblockable that was very fast. And while casual players hate unblockables, one thing they love is jumping, and of course Sheeva has an anti-air. She's a grappler. She has an anti-air unblockable grab. Let's go. And when it came to damage, this throw did not mess around. Just check this out. We're already getting 14% for not spending any bar, and then if you wanted to spend some bar, you're getting even more damage. So check this out. I believe it's around 18%. Check that out. Just one bar, a single move at 18%, and of course you know it's armored. We're talking about Sheeva here. So not only was it good damage, but Sheeva could easily eat your jump in and counter with this command grab. And just to make this move even better, it was also a fantastic way to end a lot of her combos. The opponent is close, and look at that, 30% with no meter. This character has burst damage like nobody's business, and don't get me wrong, a lot of characters have crazy high damage in this game. I'm just saying that Sheeva makes it look easy. She can do a lot of damage very quickly with not many hits. But that's just the basic stuff. Sheeva also had some dirty shenanigans, so this move right here, her back forward 3, this was actually plus on block. And what this meant was Sheeva could do standing 4 into this move and then just keep doing it, especially in the corner when there was no pushback whatsoever. She could just keep doing this. If you pressed any buttons, she would hit you for some decent damage. But even if you kept blocking, just look at the chip damage on this thing. And Mortal Kombat 9 has a very nice input buffer that MK11 desperately needs, but it makes it very easy for me to do this every single time as soon as possible. Everything you just saw was a frame trap. He could not attack, he would have had to duck, otherwise he was eating a counter hit. Not to mention, at any point during this pressure, I could have just gone for a low into the anti-air and get 30% damage because he's blocking high. So not only did Sheeva have really good damage, some nice unblockables, and some really easy damage on her combos, she also had a very, very dirty frame trap that a lot of casuals would never even know about. I mean, let's be honest, a lot of casuals, especially back when this game came out, didn't even know what a frame trap was. And I should also mention this move gets armor when you amplify it and a bit more damage, so that was also an option if you wanted to go for it. And I mentioned earlier how you could actually duck under this move. It is a high attack, so she can do this, which hits high, and then cancel into this, and if you know that, you can duck it and then punish her. So for example, right here, Noob Saibot is crouch blocking, and I still can't hit him. This move doesn't hit either. He completely avoids it. There are no special highs in this game for the most part. However, the problem is, if the Sheeva player knew that you were going to crouch there, she could do an overhead command grab that led to a bunch of damage. You've seen this move in MK11. Here's its scary cousin. If you land this overhead, you can do a very simple follow-up for a lot of damage. Check this out. Once again, no meter, and we're getting 43%. And that wasn't even optimal, but if you wanted to spin the bar, you're getting easily around 50%. Once again, Sheeva makes the damage look easy. So just to summarize, Sheeva had a frame trap, and if she caught you blocking high, she had the low that led to some really good damage, 30%, and then if you dared to crouch block to avoid this move, she had an overhead that led to 50% damage. So no matter how you block, Sheeva had a very easy way to make it hurt, and she could keep you blocking with those easy frame traps. And I know a lot of that sounds really overpowered, and don't get me wrong, at the casual level, she was an absolute nightmare for anybody who had to fight against her. However, unfortunately, Sheeva had a bunch of weird hitbox issues against a majority of the roster, and at a high level, that was just too much to deal with. And as a result, pretty much nobody played her at high level because a lot of stuff just didn't behave like it was supposed to. She couldn't do her frame traps, a lot of her moves would straight up whiff when they weren't supposed to, and the rest is sadly history. Pretty much nobody played this character at a high tournament level. But when it came to low level matches, Sheeva was an absolute monster, and she was the best character to pick if you invited your friend over, he's talking some smack, and you wanted to show him what's up, you would pick Sheeva and just rock his world. Because when it came to killing scrubs, nobody made it look easier than Sheeva. And now we're in Mortal Kombat X, so it's time to talk about Goro. So Goro also had the unblockable stomp, just like Sheeva, and you could of course direct it, and it also had armor when you amplified. However, this move was a bit different because it also hit on the way up, which made it a fantastic wake-up attack. Not only was it unblockable, but it said get off me right away. And this even meant you could end combos with this thing too. Now I'm not sure why you would do it because the damage wasn't worth it most of the time, but you did have the option to end with the amplified stomp if you wanted to. And since Mortal Kombat X has crazy plus frames on hit, like right here you're at like plus 22 or something, you can do this and cancel into his stomp, and a lot of players will not see that coming, especially at the casual level. And in his Quaton Warrior variation, Goro also had an unblockable stomp on the ground, or the ground pound as they called it. By default does 9% damage, so not too bad, but if you spin the bar, he does a few more punches for 12% and he leaves the opponent standing, so no wake up options. And that's a big deal in this game when wake ups were either invincible or had armor. And then just to one up Sheeva, Goro also has a regular command grab, which for some reason NetherRealm never gives Sheeva a regular standard command grab, but Goro has one, does decent damage, and the amplified version does even more. Look at this, some almost 20%, and depending on your variation, it did even more damage. However, with that said, in terms of damage, Goro wasn't really that crazy. It's not what he was about. His damage was somewhat average, around 30% for most combos, maybe 38 if you were lucky and you had the corner, but for the most part his damage wasn't that insane. Instead, Goro is much faster. He has some really decent mids that start combos for free. His punishes are very fast as well. And then on top of being faster, Goro also had the infamous punch walk. I forgot how ridiculous this move was, so aside from looking just amazing, it's one of the swaggiest moves in Mortal Kombat. But then on top of that, this move could amplify after you hit the opponent to extend combos, so unlike a lot of characters, you didn't have to commit to the bar right away. You could wait and then amplify once you saw it hit. And that's a big deal because the punch walk is safe on block. Yes, you heard me right. This move that has amazing corner carry and extends combos very easily is also safe on block. And what this meant was Goro could just go for this on wake up all the time, and even if you baited it out by blocking, he was still completely safe at only -5. Now with that said, the move was not invincible by itself, so if you timed your meaty perfectly, then you could actually interrupt it, but if you were that good at timing it, then Goro could just spin the bar and it becomes armored. So even if you knocked Goro down, you had to respect his wake up if he had a bar of meter. Now the one upside is that the meter burn version is punishable on block at -12. So at least in that one regard, Goro was fair, but the regular punch walk being as good as it is and also being safe on block is quite strong. And speaking of armor, Goro had just as many armor attacks as Sheeva in MK9, and they were great for closing the distance, beating zoning, all that awesome stuff. So Goro could literally run in, and if you tried to interrupt him running at you, he could just spin the bar and power through any attack you use. So already that's a lot for a casual player to deal with, but the cherry on top was the 50-50s. Goro had some unfuzzyable 50-50s, so right there in overhead, now it's a low, and they both give him the knockdown and some really good frame advantage on hit. And that's not the only example. Goro also had an overhead right here. It's a high overhead. Well, now it's a high low, and once again, pretty much unreactable. You had to guess. So essentially, if you were out of meter and your character didn't have an invincible wake up option, then you just had to deal with these 50-50s over and over again, especially in the corner when there's no pushback. He just gets to keep doing it over and over again. And that's about it for Goro in a nutshell. Obviously, characters are very complex in this game with the 3 different variations, but overall, Goro still had all the unblockables that Shokans were famous for, and he was also more versatile, with a bunch of hit confirms, a safe wake up option, and also pretty fast for his size. So unlike Sheeva and MK9, pretty much anyone could pick up Goro and have a good time. And then for Mortal Kombat 11, we have Sheeva again, my boy Kentaro getting ignored. Seriously though, NetherRealm, make him playable for the next game. My goodness, poor guy. Now unlike in Mortal Kombat 9, Sheeva's damage in this game is a bit lower, but she makes up for it with annoying mix-ups and really good bleed damage. So just like in the past example, Sheeva still has her stomp, but in this game it's even easier to cancel into on hit and block, making it a nightmare to deal with. And don't forget that she can also delay her stomp in this variation, so if you try to dash to avoid this thing and you don't keep on moving, she'll catch you on the way down, and I'm actually surprised how often I land this move when I delay it. It's really strong. However, on top of that, Sheeva also has the Trimmer, a manual unblockable available in variation 1. So whenever you're fighting Sheeva, not only are you constantly afraid of her regular grabs and her unblockable flying stomp from the sky, but at any point in time you're also afraid of her Trimmer on block. And of course in Mortal Kombat 11 you can amplify most special moves, and this stomp is no exception, so look at that, we're getting 15%, and then of course there's the crushing blow when you land it 3 times without missing, and look at that, a full combo's worth of damage, 32% for a single special move. And I should also mention that her Tremor looks a lot like her regular stomp, so a player will dash to try and avoid her stomp only to be caught by her Tremor instead, so it's very tough to deal with, especially in a bad connection. And then of course there's the bleed damage. So Sheeva has a lot of moves where she can amplify and do bleed damage, and as long as you stand still, there's no actual harm that will come to you. But if you walk forward, backwards, or even jump, you're gonna take damage under this debuff. So for a quick example, I'm gonna take control of D'Vorah and I'm just gonna jump after this bleed damage is applied to me. So check this out. Oof, oof, oof. Every jump is doing between 5 and 10% damage. Now the debuff doesn't last for a very long time, but even so, if you're low on health, you're just not going to want to move, and that is perfect for the Sheeva player because she can just go for her stomp. And if you're right about to die, then moving out of the way will actually kill you. So you either die from the stomp or you die from trying to avoid the stomp. In either scenario, you're dead. The only way to avoid this situation is to use a special attack that moves your character. But keep in mind, not every character has that, or at least they're not always fast on startup, so they can't avoid the stomp anyway. But then we have the Mean Queen variation, my personal favorite because its combos are so easy and so satisfying, but this variation also has the mix-ups. So just in case you don't play this game or stop playing before Sheeva came out, if you block high, Sheeva has a low attack that does some decent damage, and she controls which direction she throws you, so if she's cornered, now you're in the corner. And then if Sheeva wants to spin the bar, you're taking bleed damage just like in variation 1, so you either move and take damage or you eat the damage from this stomp. But now let's say you're blocking low. Well, Sheeva has an unblockable overhead that does some decent damage by itself, and if she spins the bar, she can just keep the combo going, and she can even spin it twice in the same combo. Now the damage isn't worth it unless it kills, but just keep in mind she has that option to keep the combo going. And keep in mind the startup on these moves is almost identical. The overhead is 18 frames and the low is 15 frames, so good luck fuzzy guarding that, especially in a bad connection. However, there's more guessing than just that because Sheeva also has the Death March, so by default this move is plus on block, but Sheeva can actually cancel this and go for a throw. So you're basically never safe. There's a low, there's an overhead, there's a cancel into throw, you're always going to be guessing on block. And last but not least, I almost forgot to mention Sheeva's god tier fireball. So in MK9 her fireball game was terrible, but in this game it's quite amazing. Not only is it much faster and starts up faster, but the amplified version is also completely safe on block with a very large hitbox, and since it's a mid, you can't duck under it, and jumping over it is also very tough, so in this game, Sheeva has a pretty good fireball game. So even though her damage is a bit lower in this game, Sheeva has far more utility. She's a lot more versatile, much faster, her fireball game is a lot better, she has amazing mix-ups. As you can see, the Shokan characters are the best at killing casuals in the Mortal Kombat series, at least as far as NetherRealm games go. But please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Which characters do you think were the best for scrub killing? And while you're down there, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. It really does help the channel out a ton. And finally, keep that combo going by suplexing that subscribe button. That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.